Welcome for anybody in New Zealand. I'm really hoping that everybody can hear me and see me this morning. Okay, looks like we're getting some text. Excellent. All right, that's confirmation that we are seen and heard. So just to introduce myself, I'm going to share my screen in a moment. We've got a little PowerPoint presentation for you. I'm going to start off by introducing Kings Park and also the work that we do here at Kings Park Education. And then Kate is going to take over and talk a little bit about Zippy's Bush Kindy. So you can send questions through as we're going along. We've got the chat open on the screen also we can see when you do send questions. All right, let's share the screen.
Yep, we can see that.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yep, that looks good.
There we go. I'm sorry, we're having a few issues. All right, I'm so glad everyone can see the screen. All right, so let's get going then. Okay, so as I said, my name is Charlotte Vaughan. I'm the Education and Learning Manager here at Kings Park. And we also have Kate, who's one of our coordinators, and she coordinates the Bush Kindy. So first of all, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land here in Kings Park, the Whadjuk Noongar people. Nankara Kumbarak Yeyi Nining Yang Whadjuk Noongar Bukarak Yaking. So today we sit at Kings Park, we stand on Whadjuk Noongar country. A little video to show you, so I'm not sure how familiar people are with Kings Park, but I'm going to show you a little video that really gives you an overview of all the things that we do here at the Botanic Garden.
Is there supposed to be sound?
Yes, there's supposed to be sound.
We can't hear it. I think if you go up to the more thing, you can, might be some options there. Otherwise, I think it's got subtitles. Well, no, it's just got, yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you did follow that video and people did get some sound. That's just a little bit of an overview about Kings Park and Botanic Gardens. So we are one of the most visited tourist attractions in WA. We have around 5 million visitors a year. We're also the largest inner city park in the world. Yes, larger than the very well-known park in New York City. We are larger by about 0.6 of a hectare. We are run by the WA government. We are a statutory authority, and we're fairly unique in the world of botanic gardens in that our focus is on endemic native plant species. We have around 3,000 native flora species and a really strong plant breeding section as well, using native plants, hybridizing them to create plants for home gardens. You may be familiar, especially with our kangaroo paws and grevilleas. The blue kangaroo paw was last year's introduction to the market and is proving very popular. There's the blue kangaroo paw right there. You can see it on my screen. Very famous blue kangaroo paw. Okay, so what we do here at Kings Park Education, well, our role really is to inspire children and their families to reconnect, immerse themselves and really enjoy nature. We want them to learn a little bit about WA plants and animals and also about our local cultural heritage. In order to do that, we offer free community engagement activities. You can see a picture of Naturescape there. We've also got Naturescape behind us on our screen. We offer hands-on inquiry-based learning for school groups. And we really want to promote the health and well-being benefits of spending time in nature. So we have those curriculum linked programs, and we do everybody from tertiary, from Kindy to tertiary and professional development. And we work across 3 main areas, and that's STEM, well-being and cultural heritage. So all the programs that we run fall into one or more of these categories. Of course, we've got our community engagement, of which our Bush Kindy is a large component. We run nature-based activities, mainly in the school holidays for families, and these are all free, and school holiday programs too. Here at Kings Park Education, we do have a fairly large space. We are very lucky. We've got the education centre itself, which is an indoor space surrounded by education gardens and lawn. We've got 5 teaching spaces out in our Banksia woodlands, and you're seeing some of those spaces in the photographs that we've put on this presentation. You can see here a photograph of our wetland that we use for schools, and we also, Carla is fire, so we also have a fire pit classroom as well. We work in the main section of the Botanic Garden as well, not just our bush bit of the Botanic Garden. And we also run out of the Bowl Park WA Ecology Centre as well. Bowl Park is a small satellite park, which is less developed than Kings Park. We also run programs for secondary school students from that location. So it's always really interesting to learn a little bit about others' community and education teams. So here in our team, we've got myself and 3 part-time coordinators, community engagement officer, an Aboriginal education officer, and then we have casual presenters and education assistants and a team of wonderful volunteers to help bring all that together. We have around 30,000 children attend our programs each year. So part of what we do here, we have this wonderful space that is near Tinto Naturescape Kings Park. Part of that space is open for the general public, for them to do the community engagement element, and part of that space is just where we run booked programs for schools. Rio Tinto Naturescape in 6 hectares of natural bush, creeks and climbing structures. We have now reached the milestone of over 1 million visitors since we first opened in 2011. When we did first open in 2011, we were the first nature discovery type park in Australia and coined the term Naturescape. So Naturescape was a word that we actually made up back in 2008 and is now used quite frequently as the common term to describe a space where nature play occurs. I'm going to show you a little video that will just show you, hopefully this one has some sound, that will show you a little bit about Naturescape and some of the areas that we have here.
No sound at this point.
Okay, so we thought we'd put that snippet in there just so you can see what we're talking about when we talk about Rio Tinto Naturescape and the space that we have here at Kings Park Education. And yes, you can find so many videos on YouTube. If you go into YouTube and just look for Rio Tinto Naturescape, you will get tons of videos, both done by Kings Park, by our sponsors, Rio Tinto, and just members of the general public just love posting videos to YouTube of their kids playing in our nature space. Okay, so we're going to go through to the main part of the session today. I'm going to hand over to Kate. We did have another video, but we probably won't play that. We were on Destination WA, and it is a really good video for you to find. Again, you can find that on YouTube. That really gives a great overview of the Zippy program in pictorial form. All right, I'm going to hand you over.
Hi everybody, and I'm going to say kia ora to the New Zealanders that are here today. Is there anyone from Dunedin Botanical Gardens?
Can you go a bit closer to the microphone?
Oh. Okay, all right. Can you hear me now?
That's a bit better.
Okay, all right. I might have to hold it up. Maybe I'm not as loud as Charlotte. Yeah, I just wanted to say kia ora to the New Zealanders because I'm a New Zealander and just wondering if we had anyone from Dunedin Botanical Gardens here. Probably, I know any Paul's from Auckland, but anyone else? Does
Barbara,
it look so?
Barbara, who I saw in the attendance, was previously at Dunedin for many years, but is now with me at Auckland.
Oh, you stole them.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we'll get going. So I look after Bush Kindy, and this is one of my colleagues, Louise, who you can see on this picture here, who is just showing how much we love our job. We have a great job with that beautiful smile that she has. And I'm sad we can't show you this little video, but we'll just push on, I think. So I thought we better show you who Zippy is. And Zippy is kind of our mascot. Charlotte's going to bring him in over here. Okay. Actually, can you see him?
Zippy, everybody.
So this is Zippy, and he is well loved by all of the kids that come and join us and join in Bush Kindy, and kind of is someone that comes along on the adventures that we have. And being a puppet is quite lovely because we can change his personality, and he can be shy, he can be bold, he can be all sorts of things. So he connects with lots of different kids at the different stages that they are at. So Bush Kindy is our program that is designed for 3 to 5 year olds, and just as Charlotte was saying, it's just creating all those experiences to connect not just the children, but definitely their families as a whole with nature, and all about getting them exploring, getting them playing, and what we really love to see is how they grow in confidence and just loving being outside in the bush. So yeah, lots of activities. I'll go through some of those with you today. We're really lucky that we have sponsorship for this program. So Rio Tinto, who sponsor Naturescape as a whole, also have provided some funding for us to provide fully sponsored places for children from different demographics. So we've had a lot of daycares in over last year and beginning this year as well, and who are fully free, able to come and join in. And then we also have funding for staff members to present, so that supports the general public coming in as well. We've noticed, as you'll be familiar with, that when we've offered these free places, it's to these demographics, the disadvantaged demographics, it's very hard to get them into the park. So starting from this year, Rio Tinto have also provided bus transportations, the funding for that. So we're able to reach a lot more groups coming from further out of Perth too. So that's really positive. So we'll get more kids involved in that. We have our sort of our program design, our program outcomes. We have our Kings Park outcomes, but they're also linked to the early years learning framework here in Australia, version 2. So it's curriculum based as well. So you can see those 5 outcomes that we have as far as our Kings Park ones. And so getting children to be culturally aware is a big focus for us. As well as, of course, being connected with nature and learning about plants and animals. And another thing that we're really focusing on too is about action and getting families involved in caring for nature. So in terms of our program design for Bush Kindy, it is linked in with early years framework. We've got our goals and just a general sort of stage. We run it for 45 minutes to an hour. It usually goes on a little bit longer, and we run 2 sessions a day. And we sort of have some set things that we do through that. So starting off by using sort of wondering question sharing basket to get kids to think about what we're going to be doing that day. And then it's getting them out exploring, which generally leads into playing, and then children showing us what they're interested in and getting them to spend time doing that. And then we kind of regroup and discuss what we have found, and then we might do some sort of creation, some sort of craft. Usually it's consolidating what we've been learning about, and it's an action that they can take back home to maybe care for their own nature in their own backyard. And then we're using all those other elements of early child, movement, music, story as part of it as well. Okay, we'll keep going. I guess something that we're really looking at doing here is creating a community that are really connected, not just to nature, but also to the park. So we really want these sessions to make people feel that they belong. And so we always start off by, at the start of a term, creating some sort of mural together where they get to sort of put their mark down. So it may be we're doing a fingerprint tree, or doing in the second picture, third picture, looking at for our Caring for Country term, making a mural of our hands and the Aboriginal flag colours. And writing their names and their and it's not just about the kids, it's also about their adults that are coming with them as well. We always begin each session with our acknowledgement of country, and so talking about the Wadjup Noongar people, but also acknowledging that it's not that we all need to care for country, and it's something that we're doing together now. We're learning language together. We make sure it's a really inclusive, supportive environment, and what I do find a lot with people coming to bush kindy is they have that perception in their head of a kindy where you're sitting down on the mat and you're all quietly listening and things like that. And we just need them to know it's okay, that you don't have to be following the activities all the time. If your child is showing an interest in something and they want to go off and splash in the creek for a while, that's okay. You don't always, I think sometimes parents feel quite pressured to have their kids joining in everything, and that's not really what it's about. We have those activities that are there, but if children are doing something else, that's okay, because it's not a formal kindy environment. It's much looser than that. We do lots of celebrating, lots of singing, because that sort of builds community. And what we're investigating now is what next. We know that once kids finish bush kindy and then they're going off to school, into pre-primary or prep or whatever, they really want to stay involved, and unless they come with their schools on an excursion or they come with a family visit, it sort of sometimes stops. So we're looking at after school and getting special holiday programs just for those groups to keep coming in and joining in our programs. I'm just going to take you through just term by term, just some of the themes that we've used. And now, what are we doing? So term 1 is I'm an explorer of the world, and this is kind of our intro to the bush, I guess, for some kids. Fine, we've got a real mixture of kids. Some are out there doing stuff with their families all the time, and then some are really nervous about being outside, and their parents or the grandparents or the carers are nervous about being outside too, and nervous about letting their kids get dirty or get wet, all of that sort of thing. So it's about really setting the scene and making everybody feel comfortable and safe. And so the first term is all about identifying and using the different senses, and that's you know where's their nose, what's it used for, all of that sort of thing. And yeah, exploring the bush in that way. We look at all sorts of fun things as part of that. Yeah, we do sense like sight, so then we're introducing near and far, looking at binoculars, magnifying glasses, exploring. And we are looking at smell, so we are going through and smelling different things around the park. And we're also doing sound, which has been lots of fun. So it's not just listening to the animals that are in the bush or the wind through the trees. Plants make their own sounds too, especially when we've got our gum nut caps that are popping off, and the kids love that as a sound. And exploring in that way too, making music, not with musical instruments, but pieces of the bush. So making a bush band has been lots of fun. So just lots of creative ideas in that way. We also look at safety, so we do a whole lot on snake safety, because they sometimes will see that out in our bush areas. So using sound to listen what you do when you see a snake, and the fact that snakes have a right to be there as well, so how we can all share that space together. And then looking after each other, making sure that we're not leaving anyone behind, we're always staying with our family members, that sort of thing. One of our evaluations is, or our goals is looking at families acting for change. So we have actions as part of our program, and it may be something they do as their craft. So it might be we make bird and bug water baths to take home. We also talk about planting at home in the garden, and also changing behaviour of the people in the bush. So one of the activities we do when we look at taste as a sense is looking at human food versus bush animal food. And it's been really interesting when people have been sorting out things. We've got lots, you can see there's a picture with a hoop there, and kids are sorting out what they think is human food and what they think is bush animal food. And they're looking at putting apples and bananas and things like that in the animal food, under direction a little bit from their parents, because they're thinking it's healthy and okay to leave behind in the bush. And that's been a real revelation for some of our families, that might be healthy for us, but it's not healthy to leave in the bush. So just really simple things that we might take for granted as a really nice little change that people are taking away in terms of their behaviour. Okay, Term 2, which we're in at the moment, is plants, animals, and me. So it's looking at the relationships between plants and animals. And so starting off at the very beginning, so we're looking at plants and how do we get plants, looking at seeds, looking at pollinators. So we're introducing all the bugs, the butterflies, and you see the beautiful blue banded bee that is there as well. We're exploring cycles, days and nights, and then looking at some of the animals that they find here in the park. So I think you should be able to see the frog that is there. So that's a motorbike frog, or koya. So we're using lots of my chair just fell down. We're looking at lots of using the Noongar names all the time. I think some of the kids just call them their Noongar names now, which is absolutely fantastic. So koya the frog is one of our favourites. So they make this beautiful, they sound like they go, so they sound like they're changing gears of a motorbike. And so one of our actions for that is looking at creating frog bogs at home. They're actually doing that lesson today. One of our favourite ones is looking at the bats. So the only mammals that we have in the park are brush-tailed possums and quenda, or bandicoots, and these little micro bats. And so the one that you can see pictured there is the white striped free-tail bat, and he's about the size of a large Maori or gum nut, and quite special. So next week they're doing that, and one of the great things we do, we set up a bat cave where we turn it into night and they go searching for bats. So lots of fun doing that as well. In terms of action, it is lots of talking about planting at home. They create little bug houses to take back to their gardens. And I think it's just being gentle and noticing, what's around them all the time. And also one of the big things is that realizing that insects are animals too, and they're so important in our environment, and taking care of those. So that's been an important one too. This is term 3, and it is caring for the land that I play on. So this has a huge focus. Though we've been introducing Noongar culture throughout all of terms 1 and 2, this has a large focus, and we get to have our special Aboriginal education officers that come in and work with us on this program as well, because their time is very precious. So we kind of frame it as we say kora kora karakumba. So karakumba is the Noongar name for Kings Park, and kora kora means a long time ago. And so we frame it in how the park has been used for thousands of years, and start off by introducing the kids to how the plants and animals were used here at Kings Park. In terms of activities, one of the favourite ones is we look at creating the maya-mayas, so shelter building and using the plants that would have been used to create those shelters. So you can see pictured there is one of our maya-mayas with a mum and a little girl there. So they're collecting the branches and framing up those maya-mayas and covering them with woolly bush and things like that. And I love how there's a little girl there whose woolly bush was used to make bedding as well. It's very soft, and you can see a little girl's made a bed for her dolls there. So that natural playing there, and that's extending. We do, in terms of caring for country, we actually plant one session. Our Kindy kids get to plant with the Hort team and plant around Naturescapes. That's a really a fun, popular activity, and creating that community, bringing in those other members of the Kings Park team. We look at storytelling, traditional storytelling. So you can see pictured there, we've got sand trays, and that's Cyril there, who's been talking to the children about how his grandmother used to tell him stories by drawing in the ground with sticks. And so the kids there are looking at using symbols, and we tell a story and the kids tell the story in the sand while we're doing it. That's a really fun one. And then we look at different tracks of animals and how those tracks have become symbols and tell a story. The 2 seasons that run through term 3 are Makaru, which is the cold rainy season, followed by Jilba, which is the beautiful season where all of our wildflowers start to blossom. So we're noticing the seasons and again investigating the changes that are happening there. A big focus on this term is in traditional use is using what is around you all the time. And then sort of transferring that in terms of food. So what can we grow in our own gardens for food? And then, what are we using? We're doing lots of games in this term as well, in terms of using things that are around us. So you're not going to the shops, you're not going to Kmart to buy toys, but what can you find around you to play with and have just as much fun? So there's some of the sort of the actions that are coming out of that program there too. Okay, I'm just checking everyone can hear me. Rebecca, can you hear me? Okay. All good?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, good.
Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot. If anyone's got any questions, please, I can see Julie's typing. So if anyone wants to stop me, because I feel like I'm talking to myself. Okay, all right, let's keep going. Finishing up with term 4, this is a real action one. Based on the name, I am a bushland superhero. So this is really focusing on a lot of physical skills for little people, so getting them confident, climbing, balancing, swinging, so a lot of physical challenges for them. We're also looking at the environment. We're going to be going outside into the bush a lot more, so looking at the weather, looking at clouds, preparing for going bushwalking, that kind of thing, map reading, a lot of stuff in the water as well this term, so looking at floating and sinking and how we keep ourselves safe and that we stay with our adults all the time when we're near water. Lots of problem solving over, looking at how do we navigate different surfaces, slippery, algae covered rocks. We have a challenge where they build a bush boat and they have to get it from one end of the creek to the other, which is quite a challenge. There's a lot of fully wet kids by the end of that day. And we also look at heroes. Who are some of the animal heroes and plant heroes of our bush? The trees are providing shade and keeping us cool during this time. We invite in our park management officers. You can see there's Pia dressed in her firefighting uniform, and so she's bringing in the fire truck. That's a real highlight. So we're talking about being prepared for bushfires and what happens in the bush and how we can keep ourselves protect the bush from and keep ourselves safe. So lots of fun activities. And I suppose family action is getting people out into the bush and leaving those places even better. So so Paul, just how many sessions do the children attend each term? So it's 8 sessions each term, and so it's usually, as I said, a 45-minute to an hour. That's an interesting one in terms of challenges, isn't it? In terms of length, probably ideally, Bush Kindy is designed to be more child directed, and so you would ideally like to have more time. So I've noticed other places can have sort of 2-hour sessions, like if they're being run out of a park or something like that. So that's something we could have a look at. That's a really good one. From Mac. So regarding the end, how often we see the same kids participating? Is it one day per week for most? Yeah. So I think most of them are usually maybe 2 terms. We need to have a look at that, but usually you'll get the odd kids that will come all year, which is fantastic, and then sometimes it might just be 1 or 2 terms depending. I'm going to talk about challenges later. Term 3 dips off because of the weather, so we might lose a few people over term term 3. So we're just trying to make sure people realise that bush kindy happens rain, hail or shine, and even on severe weather warning days when the park is closed, we're pretty tough. We bring them inside and put them into our indoor space. So yeah. This is another part of our sort of ritual, and at the eighth class session is always a party, a celebration called a bush party. And yeah, you can see me and my favourite volunteer. She's pictured before. That's Janet. She's 82. She's a legend. And she loves music, so she's on the tambourine there. So we revisit our favourite activities. We use bush tucker. We're really also remodelling to families, because parties are a big thing for this age group, and we're trying to show them about having a more sustainable birthday party as well. So we're setting up, decorations and things that we've used before, using the bush around our and just making everything a lot less consumable, and just including all those games and songs and dance and lots of fun stuff. Okay, I'll just get back to these questions. Just some of the participant feedback. It looks pretty good, but remembering, so the big increase in last year, but that's when we did get funding as well, more funding. And also compared to 2021, we obviously, there was lot less people. It was COVID. We all remember COVID. So some really fantastic feedback. We have tried giving QR codes and getting people to do their evaluations after they leave, but we've actually just gone back to doing, here's your hard copy evaluation, because you just get really good return and get more data. But yeah, lots of really positive feedback for the program. It is a great program. It's a busy program, so more time would be great. So some of the challenges along the way, and then I'll ask some more of those questions. So yeah, I guess if you've ever run, when you're running any community program, you've got all sorts of audiences that you're catering for, different expectations, and just we find, you've got to have a great program for the kids, but you've also got to have a great program for those adults that are bringing them along each week, because they're the ones obviously making the decisions to book the kids in and pay the money. So yeah, you find you're having to, as a presenter or facilitator, you're having to bounce between the kids and the adults all the time to make sure that everything is good. As I mentioned, the time, it's a very short time frame. We run 2 sessions a day, so 9:30 and 10:30, and at this stage it's 3 days a week. Weather, as I mentioned, we all know about that. We're working outside, so you have to obviously have those contingency plans all the time. And a recent challenge to us, so obviously all of the craft that we're doing, and we don't do a craft every week, because I think there's some issues there about using things in the bush and it always having to consume. So we're trying to make things and then we'll leave them, put them back from where we got them from. So that's kind of another thing we're looking at too. But sometimes when we do make things out of natural materials and they're allowed to take them home with them, we've had to now consider the sort of a biosecurity threat with the shot hole borer beetle that is now has been found in some plants around the park and around Perth, and so we've got some quarantine considerations too. So now we can't take anything out of the park which is any woody material which is greater than 2.5 centimetres in diameter, I think. But that's been interesting, because these guys, when you educate them and you talk to the families about this, they're really on board with with helping us out with that, and good advocates. Okay, I think that's all. So run through things, keeping to time, not too bad. So who developed the content? So we develop the content. So we're all trained educators, we're all teachers. So so we have developed that ourselves. But and always, when you're developing anything, you're always checking in with other colleagues from different organisations. I used to work at the zoo for many years, and we've got a really successful program there. So we've had lots of experience working with different groups. Are there costs that aren't covered? So absolutely. So there's the public cost, I think, is so for a member of public. We don't say the price. You can look it up. Yes. It's $102 with booking. That's including booking fees. So we run it through Eventbrite. That's for our public groups that are public individuals that are booking in. But for those daycare groups from the disadvantaged areas, that's fully covered. So again, you've got the independents are coming in as public, and then the childcare centres are coming in through that fully sponsored payment. Yep. So I think
was that $102 per child per term?
That's correct. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. I think it's fairly good. Actually, for what it is. I've looked at comparable ones. I don't know is anyone else running something similar to this in any of your other parks? It'd be really interesting.
I think at the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne, we ran one for a while, but it was something like I wasn't the one that was running. It was something like $35 per child per session.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty hefty, isn't it?
Yeah. And I can't remember how that was what the price was set. We were all saying that's too much, but I can't remember how long a term was
Anyway. But the price is low. So here at Kings Park, we only by state legislation, actually, we can only charge up to 70% of the true cost of a program. So even the program that's run at $12 a head for the 8 weeks is very cheap. So the true cost of running that program would be more like $24, $25 per session, and that would be a similar cost if you were to sign up to something else, with your child. Sort of $24, $25 would be a standard price. So that was why it was so important that we found a sponsor for this program. We actually get $70,000 a year in sponsorship from Rio Tinto. So with that plus what we get in fees, that pretty much just covers costs.
Yeah, it'd be really now that we're kind of meeting in this way, it'd be really lovely to catch up and talk to anyone who wants to thanks, Paul. That wants to share ideas and to share experiences and things. So if anyone wants to set up a group or have a chat following this, that would be wonderful. I'm pretty new to this Botanic Gardens world, so I'd love to make some contact. Great.
Is there any more questions?
Any more questions?
I think
we're wondering out of our tawny frog mouths which one you are at the end of this. Are you awake still? Are you asleep, or are you falling asleep?
I feel like the third one has many questions.
You think he's thinking, or like, what is this all about? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Right. Well, I have to go and run Child versus Wild now, which is one of our wellbeing strands here at the park. So I've got to go manage a fire. So make a fire and cook some damper. So yeah, it's been really lovely talking to you all. I'm going to hand back to Charlotte to finish up, and yeah, we'll hopefully catch up.
All right, so thank you so much, Kate. Guess we're going to do another shuffle, seat shuffle. So I really hope that everyone got something out of that, and we are more than happy to answer any further questions that you have. If you do want to get online and have a look at some of those videos, please feel free. I'm so sorry that our sound didn't work for you today. All right, so unless there's any further questions, Rebecca, would you like me to end the meeting?
Oh, sorry, here I am. Yes, sure, and I'll turn the camera off. Thank you. It was really lovely to see all that.
Okay, you're welcome. So we just really wanted to put so many photos in there because we know that we're a whole different world over here. I mean, we wanted you to see what we were about and what we do here at Kings Park.
You sure are.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Charlotte.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today.
Thank
you.
you.
The recording will be available on our BGEN's YouTube channel, but I'll send the link to Paul and he can send it around to the BGEN group as well.
Excellent. And it sounds certainly like there's interest for a BGEN focus on preschool as well, which is great.
Yeah, and it's such a it is such a growing area. It's such a growth area. We find that people look to us at the Botanic Garden for guidance on how to run a bush kindy. So we're sort of learning as we go, but we're also trying to support others with their nature learning as well.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing.
All right then. So